Hey, hey.
What's going on, Rob?
Yeah, man. How you doing?
Man, I cannot complain. I cannot complain. I really want to continue our conversation we were having about DJing,
Yeah.
but I think we should keep it on topic here.
Yeah, let's get...
But we should definitely go back to that. I just want to say this, Rob. I used to use a Axiom 25 keyboard to DJ with Serato software.
Oh, nice.
So I didn't need CDJs. I didn't need like any other like controller or anything. Just straight MIDI, and it was absolutely wonderful.
Using
So
the
you
pitch
can
wheels?
definitely use.
How did you...
No, I used you got like the four drum pads, and I used those for start, stop, cue, and then the other two was the nudge back and forth, so I could link up. And then the knobs I'd use to adjust the BPM big and then go into it. So I'm saying you could use that with Beatport's new DJ app, and this is a good time to mention that for those that are watching. If you haven't checked it out yet, Beatport just released a DJ app that is all inside your browser, and it's absolutely phenomenal. This is what we're going to be talking about today, but you should definitely go check it out. I don't know if Andre or Jack, whoever's in the chat, want to put a link to that, but I mean, it's just phenomenal. And yeah, I figured I'd bring it up. And another thing I wanted to bring up, Rob, if you don't mind, is I mentioned I was using Serato software back in the day, in the DJ days. But we are doing a massive Serato live stream tomorrow on Plugin Boutique's YouTube channel. So for those that are here now, just to let you know, tomorrow, same time, different place, Plugin Boutique's YouTube. Go over there now and subscribe if you're not already. We're going to be doing a Serato Studio live stream with a product specialist, Matt Perry from Serato. And we're going to be giving away, on top of 5 copies of Serato Studio and 5 copies of Serato Sample VST plugins, we're actually going to be giving away to one lucky winner a producer bundle with Serato Studio and Serato Sample and an Akai MPK Mini 3, 2 Mackie CR3X monitors, including the cables. Okay, always a plus when you can plug it right in out of the box, and Mackie MC250 headphones. So huge stream tomorrow. So if you have time, or if you are looking to possibly win, or if you want to know more about Serato Studio, head over to Plugin Boutique YouTube tomorrow. But that being said, Rob, today, what are we talking about?
Loopcloud 6 with its enormous new features.
Update.
Yeah, it's massive.
Oh my gosh. We've obviously had the pleasure of having hands-on with this for a little bit longer than most people or the general public. And I'm telling you, it's at the point now where when I launch it, even to make my notes for the stream today, I end up saving project files. I'm like, oh, that's a start of a song, and then I'll clear all the tracks and start another song. I'm like, oh, I gotta save that. And just to make the notes, I saved 3 projects, which I want to revisit after the stream. It's just so powerful now, especially with these new features that are baked inside of it. So I'm guessing, Rob, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but today we're going to be talking about the new features, kind of the main new features. And obviously, everybody who's here, just put your questions in the chat, and we're going to have Andre send those questions to me towards the end of the stream, and we'll get those answered to you, or possibly live during the moment. But definitely, if you have any questions along the way, put them in the chat. But we've got a bunch of features to cover here, and I think we should probably jump in pretty quickly. But Rob, how would you feel about giving away 500 Loopcloud points just before we even begin?
I feel pretty fantastic about it. Let's do
You
it.
feel good?
Yeah.
Rob, what I was thinking is this time, instead of just having people get active in the chat, let's have like a question, and then can respond to the question, and only people who respond to the question will be eligible for the giveaway. What do you think about that idea?
I think it's a great idea. What, have you got a question in mind?
Yeah, I got questions for all the different giveaways we're going to be doing throughout the stream written down. So I think the first one. And I wasn't going to do it, Rob, if you said no. Obviously, this is a collaboration between you and I. So, but the first question, and we're going to be giving away 500 Loopcloud points to one lucky winner. In the chat, let us know where you're at. I just came up with that rhyme on the spot, Rob, and I'm quite proud of myself. I don't know if you can see the smile on my face, but yeah, let us know where you're from in the chat, and we will select one lucky winner. And obviously, we're going to need you to hit that like button, because if it doesn't get, let's see how many people we got watching. See, if it doesn't get 100 likes on the video, I mean,
we're calling the whole thing off.
We can call
yeah
the whole thing off. So let us know where you're at in the chat, and we will pick one lucky winner to get 500 Loopcloud points. And we're about to jump into the major new features in Loopcloud, but just before we do that, Rob, I got one other thing to say. No more bird sounds, Rob.
Oh yeah.
No more bird sounds inside of Loopcloud when previewing loops and samples and one-shots that you haven't even purchased yet. There is no longer those birds chirping. Though I would like to say, in some instances, like on breakdowns or lo-fi tracks, I actually enjoyed the birds.
I'm gonna miss them.
There are definitely more than one instance where I was like, how can I find that particular bird sample, because I need that in my track now. But more often than not, it is much better not to have them there. So I'm very, very excited. This is sort of a minor change, but I'm really, really digging it. It is still a lower quality version, so you will have to make the purchase with your Loopcloud points to get the high quality version, and then download it to get the actual uncompressed audio. But it's just huge. I just wanted to point that out before we even jump into the other intense features that Loopcloud 6 has to offer. So with that being said, why don't you, Rob, let us know what we're going to talk about first, and we'll discuss.
Yeah. So
maybe if you want. Bring up Loopcloud, and maybe we can point out some things along the way.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's just see if you're on this screen. You are. Yay. Yeah. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. The first one.
Don't mess around.
I don't. First one we're going to be talking about is absolutely huge, and it's the AI from Jammerhook. We're going to do it in kind of 3 sections. So we're going to do the AI is the first talking point, and then the audio filters, and then after that the effects. So we're kind of going to look at those in a bit more detail and discuss the other bits as well, like the export button, and then right at the end I'll sort of put it all together into a 20-minute-ish long demo where we kind of make a tune and just look at a workflow that uses a lot of the new features. So yeah, the first one is AI.
I'm looking forward to your demo, Rob. I always do enjoy them. You always are an inspiration, especially when you go, and I'm going to be honest here with you, Rob, when you go like flesh-eating drum and bass, it's my favorite coming from you, because you're such a composed, relaxed guy, and then you bring out the bassiest drum and bass there is, and I'm like,
Neuro.
Yeah.
That's
dark dungeon drum and bass. I love it.
That is my favorite. Today we're not doing that, actually. We're doing the complete opposite. Go for like pop kind of pop vibes. So
okay. All right. Well, we're going to be talking about the new AI to start, like you said, and it's from Jammerhook Technology. And this is the feature that, as I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, when I'm inside of Loopcloud now, I'm just stuck inside of it, constantly cranking out complete song ideas. And it has a lot to do with this new feature. So what it does is, for people who don't know yet, and if you don't, definitely go download the newest version of Loopcloud, because this is going to blow your mind. You have a loop loaded, right? And you can right-click it and search by sound similar, rhythmic matching, or harmonic matching. And this will actually, using the AI, find similar things for you inside of the massive Loopcloud library. So at this point, Loopcloud has well over 4 million sounds, which is daunting, and it can be a little bit difficult to find matches. We do have world-class filtering, browsing, and searching, but now we have this AI that's going to help you get there faster. So, I mean, if you've got a nice piano lead and you're looking for something that's going to jive well with it musically, you go harmonic matching. If you've got a percussive loop and you want something to add more to it, rhythmic matching. And then there's sound similar, which is going to bring you a wealth of loops and samples and sounds that can that sound similar to what you're working with. And one of the things that I really like about this, Rob, is when you do the search, it brings up, first of all, it brings up a whole new tab for you. So you're not going to lose the search results that got you that initial sample. And it takes the sample that you're doing the matching with and puts it right at the top of the list, which I found is very important, especially if you're looking to not add onto your track, but maybe replace something. you might flip through a bunch of results and be like, no, you know what? In the end, that's the one I wanted, and it's just right up there at the top for you. So you go right back up there and hit it. And I thought that was a really cool addition to, having the AI technology there. So it's just a further workflow improvement on top of this new searching capability. What have you found playing around with these new features, Rob?
Yeah, the AI is completely amazing. And I did, at first at least, it wasn't the thing that blew me away the most. We kind of discussed this a bit amongst ourselves, and we were saying, like, even the small things like effects, initially we were like, oh, that's completely awesome because we use them all the time, whereas the AI was something new. So at first I thought, yeah, that seems cool, but I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to implement it. But the more you use it, the more these techniques just pop out, and you're like, oh damn, that's going to be so useful. The ability to actually search a sample library in this way, where it's kind of intelligently searching, is just so unique. It's incredible.
Yeah, unique, next level. I would go so far to say next level. Like when I was dreaming of new features back in Loopcloud 1, I wouldn't have been like, yeah, let's bring in some AI to help me find something that will harmonically match what I already have. Yeah. So shout out to the Loopcloud team who not only dreamt of it, but have made it a reality for today. That's crazy.
Yeah. Shall I just play a few examples of what we're talking about, or do you want to chat about it some more?
I think that would be I think that's an excellent idea, Rob.
Okay. I'm just going to take your face out of here temporarily, just so we're not obscuring. You're going to come right back. We'll still be able to hear you, man. You can still,
okay.
chime in if you need to.
I like to talk.
We know this. Okay, you can dropping you out. So I've just done a search here in the background for drum and bass drum loops, and when you do certain searches, you get tons of very different results. And first, I should probably say that you can see all the waveforms here look very different. And the reason for this is I've got the waveform full spectrum setting turned on, I think it is, in the preferences, which is one of the available options for darker themes. And it shows you the frequency content of the loops. So some of them are much more higher frequency, for example, than others. You can see by their blue coloring here. And they relate to this scale you've got going on at the side here. So, if I click through some of these drum and bass loops, you get all sorts of stuff coming up. Some of them are much simpler. Some of them are just a kick and snare. Other ones are tops. And of course, you can limit it down to certain drums, for instance, when you're in certain groups. But if you just have a loop that you like the sound of, like one of these kind of faster ones maybe, you can just go to the little Jammerhook logo here and just click on it. And then you can see the different options, and one of them is find similar sounds. You just click on that. And then it will search for drum and bass drum loops that all have the same kind of sonic characteristics. So they're all going to be quite busy, as you can see here. They have lots of transients going on. All the frequencies are kind of similar. They're all based in the same sort of range here. And just to say, by the way, when you see a certain color here, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's no frequency content at the other end of the spectrum. It just means that the majority of it is focused on there. So when you see a loop that's blue, it normally means it's all generally higher frequency, but occasionally you get some of the other frequencies coming in. But it gives you a real indication, as you can see here. There's a few of them. Yeah, so, and then when you found the drum loop you want, you can come in and you can go back on the match logo, match button here, and you could maybe find a rhythmic match. And when you find a rhythmic or a harmonic match, what happens is it selects track 2 down the bottom here. So this is getting into multiplayer, or rather multi-track player functionality here. It switches to track 2, leaves the sample you originally had back on this search on its own tab here at the top, and also in track 1 here in the player. So then you can just click on one of these different ones, and you can also limit it to something. So we could choose bass, rather than let it kind of freely come up with any rhythmic match, which could be a anything from a percussion to a vocal to anything. And then it will come up with sort of suitable bass lines that basically complement the drum loop in some way. Now, it's going to be pretty mental because it's quite a full-on so yeah, it's coming up with all sorts of different options there. But yeah, just an amazing kind of option for you there to be able to search for a rhythmic match of a particular instrument and have it find things that don't conflict with what you've got going on. So let's look at the harmonic matching. I've got a piano tab here, as Josh was talking about piano chords. Let's load that into this one. Let's just mute that for now. By the way, if you want to bring up a sample in the results area, because sometimes you'll have a favorite, say, and you've got it down here, you can right click on it and choose to show in various places. So you can show it in the pack. We'll get it up in this normal window, or you could show it in the library. And when you do that, and then you've then got it in this section here, so then you have the match button there, so we can click on that. Actually, can you just do it directly from there? Yeah, you can just do it directly from there. I didn't even need to do that step. Yeah, totally. Anyway, now we've got this piano loop. So we've got a loop with really nice kind of lush chords going on. We can click on match here, find harmonic matches. Again, it moves to the next track along. So it leaves the piano loop where it was, and it starts a new search up the top here. And now, yeah, we can just click through some of these different options. Now it's found lots of different kind of guitars here. Again, we could narrow it down to a particular type, like an electric guitar or an organ, but you've got everything here from trumpets and flutes to vocals. That's what amazes me about some of these, when you have these long loops with improvising going on a scale, and even though these chords are evolving, the technology is able to pick out that it's all going to pretty much go with what's going on. And as you see in the demo I'm going to do in a bit, sometimes there's a little bit that's not quite aligned or whatever, because getting it 100% spot on, especially when the harmony is very complex, is going to be almost impossible. But yeah, it just always gives you a ton of different options here, and they're often like quite random things that you might not have picked ordinarily, and that's what I like most about it. It just chucks something in there that's quite random, and that's what inevitably makes your music really interesting and stand out. So yeah, so the last thing I was going to say is that these AI features are also in the library. So when you import samples into the library, it uses the AI to tag them all up now, which is really awesome. And then you can also, inside your own library with your own personal sample library, come in, choose a sample like this snare, say. Again, you just right click it, search, find similar sounds, and then it will do exactly the same. So it'll just find a sample just like that snare, either in the store and the library, or even just in your library. If you want, you could turn off the store, so you can just search in your own library, and then it comes up with all these different snares here. And as you can see, these all actually come from the Machine 2 library, because I've imported that into the library section. So you can use it like any libraries that you have, whether they're for other software or your own personal library. You just drag it into the library section, and then you can make use of all of Loopcloud's features, including this new AI now. So that is the awesome AI. Let's bring Josh back in. Hey, man.
Hey. Yeah, I mean, I liked a word that you used while you're going through that, and that's complement. I really found that the results that I was getting when I was doing harmonic matching or rhythmic matching were not. It's not like when you think of rhythmic, it wasn't like I had something specific and then it just gave me a bunch of other loops with that exact thing. It gave me loops that would fit well, it seemed, with that rhythm that I already had, rather than just duplicating that rhythm again.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. And the same thing with like the harmonic one. I was finding like if I had, the first 2 bars were piano and then there was dead space and the piano came back in, I actually got a bunch of results that had the first 2 bars dead space and then an instrument come in for 2 bars. And like those two, when put together, would fill out the entire bar, and they'd fill out each other and complement each other along the way, which, I mean, it's just, when you sit down and think about that, Rob, that's insane. I mean, that is just literally insane. And again, obviously it's not perfect every time, but what it's meant to do is just give you the inspiration to take those things and go and be you, instead of having to, sift through a million sounds. It's just like, hey, try this out. And it might, like you said, be something that you would have never thought. I would have, maybe I didn't ever think to put a banjo right here, but Loopcloud said, hey, this complements it. It's harmonically correct. What do you think? And then you're just like, yes, this is it. This is what I was missing. Yeah. And then that drives creativity from there. So yeah, awesome new feature. And I agree with you. I was just, at first it was like, this is pretty cool, but now I'm just like, this is mind blowing. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. What's up next? What are we be talking about, Rob?
So next we're on to the audio filters, of course. I think this was I think this is my favorite initially when I first saw the updates. I was totally blown away just to see the whole section expand and all the features that came in.
Exactly. And this kind of is in continuing the trend that we have going here, where the tools are meant to help you find what you're looking for better and faster. What we have here in the audio filter section is being able to filter down results by tone, length, rhythmic density, swing, attack, and decay, and so on. Like, again, we have over 4 million sounds we're working with, and sometimes, even though we don't know exactly what we want, we have an idea. For example, if I'm making deep house and I'm looking for synth stabs, I'm probably going to want something in the darker realm. And instead of getting 50,000 synth stabs, I can now kind of already filter it down just to the darker side and reduce that number to get mostly darker sounds. That was perhaps what I'm looking for with deep house, for example. And it's just going to get me there faster. And, that's what Loopcloud's been about since the beginning, is to be a tool for you to help you get to where you want to go faster, and perhaps give you, inspiration along the way, obviously. But if I'm looking for a deep house synth stab, on top of using the genre deep house, on top of using synth stab, I can now filter out the higher frequency content stabs and just focus on exactly what I'm looking for. Another example I actually used earlier today was I was looking for a breakbeat, and I was in like 128 future pop or something like that. And when I did my initial search with drums and future pop, it was all pretty much 4 to the floor, because around that BPM is generally 4 to the floor pattern. But I could just easily take that rhythmic density slider and move it more towards the complex side, and then it's going to give me more things happening, and that usually translates into kicks happening in different places rather than just on beat. And it worked absolutely fantastically in that use case as well. So obviously, lots of different ways to use it, whether you're looking for loops, whether you're looking for one-shots, just more tools in your toolbox to find what you're looking for. And I've said it before on stream, Loopcloud literally has anything you can imagine that you want for your track. The question is, how do you find it? And having these new audio filters there is just going to make it that much easier, Rob. Yeah. I don't know if you agree. Probably do.
I absolutely agree. Yeah. Again, shall I just get on with showing it?
You absolutely should, Rob. Go ahead. Take it away.
Okay. Dropping you out again, man. See you in a sec.
All right.
So let's just do a search now for percussion loops. Again, I'm going with quite a wide one. So I'm just typing into the search box, clicking on the tag, and then we're going to choose loops. And again, you can see loads of different things coming up. Like I was saying before, There's lots of different frequencies and all sorts of different properties here. So, and you remember when you do a search for percussion, you're searching for all these sounds here. So you can get anything from, you know, a tweaker, you know, a snap loop, a woodblock, anything like that, to a conga or whatever. So how we might want to strip it down is we could come straight over to the tone slider, and we could perhaps take out some of the higher frequency stuff and just limit it to more of the lower end. And you can immediately see all of the loops are now going green or orangey as they tend more towards the lower end of the spectrum here. And that's going to give us congas, toms, kind of more sort of cinematic stuff. But again, we're going to have quite a lot of variety here. Some of them are going to be quite sparse. As you can see, some of them just have the odd hit here and there. Some have slower rhythms. So as Josh was saying, we can go down to the rhythmic density here, and we can use this slider here just to up it. Let's check I'm not blocking it. No. Can just up the rhythmic density, set it towards the more kind of complex end. And then we're going to get these faster loops, you can see, with a lot more going on. And yeah, we could even use this swing slider here to increase the swing. And now we're going to end up with percussion loops that have a lot of transients, a lot of rhythmic density, and also swing. So yeah, fantastic feature there, being able to really kind of zone in on certain areas of the frequency spectrum if you want to make it, you know, more or less toppy, but also be able to specify, you know, how many sounds you want going on within the loop, how much syncopation you've got with the swing dial. Let's just take a look at a one shot. This time we'll go for a synth one shot. Again, this is a category which has tons of different sorts of sounds in. You know, all sorts of kind of variety going on here. So we could come down to the bottom here, and you see you've got different sliders for the attack and decay. So a lot of these sounds, for instance, have a sharp transient, but perhaps you're looking for something that has a bit of a slower transient, a bit more of an attack on it, a softer kind of sound. So you can use the attack here to increase the length, go up to kind of 200 milliseconds or so. And now you can see on the waveform here, all of these have like a fade in. And some of them are quite long at the moment, so we're getting some sort of pads in there. They've all got the long attack, the nice gentle fade in, but they're all lasting quite a long time. So we could bring down the length if we wanted to make it kind of shorter ones. Bring it down to like a second or so. And it's going to give you these shorter sounds that have that kind of nice slow attack on that softer kind of filtered sound. Just to say, every time you do this, you can see up the top here, you get a kind of tag appearing in the search area. So here we've got the attack one. Here we've got the length one. So anytime we just want to get rid of it, obviously we can reset the slider, but we can also just click there to remove the attack one, and then we've gone back to the normal search. We can make it a fast attack if we want to make it, you know, really, really strong transient. We could go the other way there. And you can also increase the stereo width. So if you want to make sure there's no mono loops, yeah, you just want to find that kind of soft synth one-shot sound with the nice long attack that's nice and wide to kind of fill that particular slot in your track, then you can do that. So, you know, alongside the AI, this just gives you such a massive amount of control over finding sounds. Just going to bring Josh back in. Yeah, what about that attack feature? You know, just that is one example where I went, oh yeah, that's That's really, really handy.
Absolutely. All of them, in my opinion, are just, they're fundamental. Now that they're fundamental in my searches. You know what I mean? Like, I already kind of know if I want to go dark or light or sparse or complex. Like, all of those things, I kind of have an idea to begin with, and just having that there and being able to use them, I mean, it's next level. And it's, now that it's there, it's one of those things where you're like, how did I ever live without this before? But it's there now, so I'm really excited that it is, Rob. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But before we move on, let's give away another 500 points if you don't mind, Rob.
I don't mind at all.
So again, we're going to give away 500 points to one lucky winner. And this time I want you to tell me what your favorite genre of music is, or what genre you produce the most while using Loopcloud. Go ahead and put it in the chat. My friend Andre is going to take down one lucky name and send it to me at the end of the stream, and we will announce the winners at that time. So yeah, I think, we're cooking with new features, Rob. What's next on the chopping block to discuss here?
Next up, it's effects.
Love to hear it. Yeah. Love to hear it.
There's some new devices and also some features which may seem like small additions, but like real boosts to your workflow.
In one of those, Rob, I would just want to say right off the bat is the add effects button is now centered.
Yeah.
And this is phenomenal. It used to be way off on the right. There's a plus button, but now it's just there. It's a button. It's very intuitive. You click it, and this is this is why I'm so happy that the Loopcloud team are so ahead in the game. Like, I never even thought to suggest to move that button, but this is exactly what I was talking about before. But now that it has been moved, I'm like, yes, don't ever move it again. Don't over there. It doesn't make sense. Another thing is, once you add an effect, the addition button is now on the right side of the latest effect in the effects chain, which is very, very intuitive again. So you're not looking way over to the right side. You just add a compressor, for example, which is one of the new effects, of course, and then you just hit that add button and you can add your reverb right after it. It's just a really, really good look. In terms of workflow, it's just intuitive and makes adding effects right inside of Loopcloud much more phenomenal. But that being said, my little rant, going past my little rant here, we do have 3 new effects. That's right, Rob. 3 new effects.
Mm-hmm.
What do we got? What do we got that's new inside of the effects suite inside of Loopcloud 6?
We've got compressor, as you've already mentioned. We've also got EQ, and lastly, tone box.
Tone box.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about the EQ for a second here. Also, before we even jump in specifically to the EQ, they all look really, really nice, don't they?
They do.
I mean, they just visually pop, I think, and I'm really excited to see them, never mind use them. But moving on to the EQ, so many times whilst working in Loopcloud have I been like, oh, if I could just shelf that, or if I could do a cut there or a boost there, and add that airy presence, like, oh, I'd love to do that. And now you can. So yes, and yes again. Absolutely phenomenal to have it in there. 4 bands, that's right?
Yep. 4 parametric bands.
EQ. 4 is more than enough. And again, I just want to point out before we keep going here, this is all before you even need to purchase the sound. God, that's insane to me. Big ups to Matt and the Loopcloud team for thinking that far ahead, to be like, and to being that generous, to be honest, just to be like, you know what, you can completely understand how this is going to sound in your project before you need to buy it. That is just a huge thing. Thinking back just to even a few years ago, that was nothing I would ever think was possible. But being able to completely EQ a sound, compress the sound, throw a reverb on it, link it up to my project in my DAW, all before I even need to make that purchase is just, I mean, it doesn't even make sense, but it's absolutely phenomenal. And the tone box has so much baked inside of it. There are so many different cabinet options, emulations in there, and there are a bunch of different drive styles, and they sound really, really good. Even, I mean, I threw them on some vocals earlier today, and I was like, oh, yes, please, more of that. And you can drive it. You can add more of it. You can add 3 instances of it. Like, let's just go. I mean, absolutely phenomenal in that tone box. And again, it looks phenomenal. And then compression is pretty fundamental in all of music production, and the compressor is finally baked into the effect suite inside of Loopcloud. So I'm really excited that these 3 were added to Loopcloud 6, and I'm excited to see what the next 3 are coming down the line, because at some point, Rob, it seems like Loopcloud is going to be a DAW. Like all we need to do is all we need to do at this point is add an arranger and maybe the ability to add more than 8 tracks, and like, what are we doing here? Like, why am I even opening Ableton Live at this point? It's all right here for me. So I mean, this expansion to the effects built into Loopcloud 6 is absolutely phenomenal. So I mean, I've said my rant. I'll let you show them off and let everybody know what you think about them as well.
Thanks, Ben. I'll just drop you out. See you in a sec.
All right.
Yes, so let's just open up a loop. Actually, one thing we haven't mentioned yet is that one of the cool things you can do is if I go to a particular pack here, so I click on the I button, it starts up a new tab. You've now got the ability to filter using your own search box down here. So you don't just have to click on the tags there anymore. You can click on drum here. You can also type in other things like full, to make sure that we're looking at full drum loops here. You can also use all of the audio filters, to filter out certain frequencies as we've been looking at. So fantastic, ability to look through packs now. So let's just check out this first drum loop here. Let's just reset it. Of course, that's lost the effect as well. Just wanted to make sure we're playing the loop in full. So yeah, as Josh was saying right at the start, click on FX Edit, you've got the add effect right there in the middle. And now we can add the compressor, step through some of the presets. Let's find a loop that's maybe a little less. Trying to find one that's a little bit softer. So yeah, one of the things you can do is, as you can see, you can click on the menu button and then you can just load up different presets directly from the device. Another cool addition. Or just use the arrows as I've been doing just there to step through them. This snap and pop one's probably going to be nice. Just to bring out the transients there. Of course, I can set it to one of the more extreme ones. Of course, these loops are already a bit compressed already, so it's not going to make too much of a dramatic difference. But it's a really, really nice sounding compressor with some really just very useful presets there. Snap and pop I find particularly useful if you just want to sharpen it up and fatten it up just a little bit. And there's the presence button there, which is very cool as well, just making sure those higher frequencies are sort of popping out. So yeah, it's the compressor. Moving on to the EQ, clicking on the plus there. Some really nice presets there, very useful ones for immediately doing certain things. You can see removing mud, adding air, all that kind of thing. If you want, you can edit the bands just on the display here, just by clicking on them and then dragging the points around. Now remember, obviously the range is quite large here, so don't drag them too much. You'll get really extreme differences. And we're going right up to 20 decibels, for instance, at the top here. You can also edit once you've selected a band using the dials at the side here. And one useful tip here is if you hold down the command key, you can actually edit it in very fine adjustments. So we're just doing it to 1 decimal place there, which is quite a useful little thing to know. Yeah, and all of these bands can be set to any one of the usual modes with both high and low shelf filters, high and low pass, and also a band pass there. So very comprehensive EQ. And lastly, you've got the tone box. Just going to clear this search actually and look for percussion loop again. Let's see what we got here. Could just turn these effects off for a minute. There's our loop dry. I'll just step through some of the presets so you can hear the kind of different kinds of sounds you can get with this. So when you load that one up, it almost sounds like a reverb effect. This under piano cabinet is a really kind of spacious one that doesn't just add lots of kind of warmth and a real nice bassiness and a nice effect on the bottom end. It also adds this kind of huge dimensional aspect. Whereas that fold and tear one is using the wave folder, which is almost like a sort of more enveloped kind of saturation. I really like that American cabinet as well. It creates a really sort of interesting like boxiness to it. So yeah, again, really, really great presets, but with so many options for the drive style and the cabinet, you can just play around with there to shape the sound any way you like and come up with your own little presets. Whenever you come up with a preset, you just click on the menu, save preset, and then you can just load it up at a later point in time. Of course, any effects change that you create here, you can save in the pattern menu. So all the effects are saved with patterns, as I'm sure a lot of you already know. So if you create an effects chain there, so you don't necessarily do any editing down here in the player, but you simply just add a whole stack of different effects. When you come down to the pattern menu, save the pattern, you'll be able to instantly load that up with the sample to add all your effects back in. So that's all the effects updates. Bringing Josh back. Hey.
Hey, a couple of other things I wanted to point out about effects. But before I do that, someone asked if every time you add an effect, it renders a new file. And essentially, yes, that's what it's doing. It's going to bake the effect on whatever loop you have or one shot. Every time you add a new effect or every time you make an adjustment to the effect, it is going to have to render. It does it extremely quickly though, and it's not like it stacks up somewhere on your hard drive. So hopefully that answers your question. Another really cool albeit kind of minor sort of behind the scenes thing that was done with effects, Rob, is even when we were doing the Loopcloud contests, I would always mention if you put a reverb or a filter, those two things in particular, onto a track, there would be a big boost in gain. That has been resolved in Loopcloud 6. So now if you add a reverb, it doesn't just automatically make your track a ton louder or your loop or whatever a lot louder. It sounds like it should. And while that's sort of a minor thing, for me, again, it's a workflow thing. I want to throw the reverb on and move forward. I don't want to, have to throw it on and reduce the volume. So that has been fixed. Or so both the filter and the reverb are now working much better and a lot cleaner in terms of when you add them to your track. So that's pretty cool in my opinion. By the way, just so everybody that's in the chat, you go put your questions there if you have any questions about Loopcloud in general or about the new features, and we will try to get to those either in real time or at the end of the stream. My friend Andre, who's manning the chat, will send me a list of questions to answer. But before we move on, let's go ahead and give away 500 points. Rob, what do you say?
Let's do it.
I think this time I want you to put your favorite sample pack manufacturer, your favorite sample pack label that you use, or that's kind of your go-to inside of Loopcloud when you're producing. I'll name some of mine, Rob, and perhaps you can name some of yours. Mine would be Single Makers. Let's see here. Obviously, Loop Masters, Organic. I really dig IQ samples as well. Mm-hmm. What are some of yours, Rob?
I also use Single Makers quite a lot. I use Dabro quite a bit. I use Shuriken, one of the newer ones. I'm really getting into their stuff now. Underground Sounds. I mean, there's a lot, but yeah, I think those are probably some of my favorites.
Yeah, and when I'm trying to go bass, I go to Ghost Syndicate, which have
Ooh,
some
yeah.
of the most well sound designed basses and synths, and their drums are fantastic, so full of character. So that's another one to check out. The ones that I definitely like but to be completely honest, and I know I'm on the Loop Masters team, so it might sound biased, and it probably is, but some of the sample packs that they've been dropping of late
Yeah.
have been absolutely phenomenal, bro. Like mind blowing. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to open that up. So definitely don't sleep on Loop Masters because they put out nothing but high quality work. And the cool thing about Loop Masters is it's a lot of different artists all kind of combined into one label.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's just one guy making all of those packs. You're going to get a lot of different flavor, a lot of different sounds coming from there because it's just so many people contributing to the Loop Masters label itself.
I mean, just this week, you've got Cosmic Electro, you've got Vadim Tropical Dancehall, you've got
Vadim. Come on.
Vadim. What?
He's huge.
All right, so I thought my pronunciation was wrong.
He's a huge reggae guy.
Yeah.
Some of his other sample packs have been some of my favorite for years. I'm just, they also did one drop from some people in Brazil that was absolutely pure fire as well.
Industry,
so.
yeah. Lack of Afro,
definitely.
Cinematic Funk. There's just tons of variety. Yeah, amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I think now we can just kind of go through maybe a sort of quick take on some of the other features that have been added.
Yeah.
That are worth mentioning, or things that stood out to us whilst using it. You've already mentioned one of the ones from my list, which was being able to search inside of a pack.
Yeah.
Once you jump into a pack, you want to be able to go even deeper and find things quicker. Again, it's all about getting you to what you want to get quicker, and Loopcloud adding that feature there is absolutely phenomenal. But you've already shown that. Patterns have been expanded like exponentially at this point. Now you've got all of the main menus with the main categories, but you also have like 8 sub menus inside of there, genre specific patterns and so on. Just a huge library of patterns to get you started. I highly suggest, if you're looking for more inspiration, just to jump in there and maybe just throw on some patterns and just randomly flip through one shots or loops and just see if you stumble upon something. And I'm sure you will quite quickly with using patterns and all of the samples and loops inside of Loopcloud. Another big one is the export feature. Has been massively updated and very, very useful. And one of the coolest things is the dragging hides Loopcloud feature, Rob.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Forever. I mean, I don't have 2 screens. I'm not at the point in my career where I can have multiple screen setups, but used to have to double click the Loopcloud UI and move it out of the way and then drag into Ableton. And now I can just move it with that new drag and drop feature, and it just hides Loopcloud, and I drop it into Ableton, and then I unclick, and it brings me back to Loopcloud. That is absolutely a game changer. They
did have one thing that was Mac specific. I just need to check if this is still. I think when you have that enabled. Yeah.
I mean, Mac kind of has that built in, I think, doesn't it?
No, it's slightly the opposite. In fact, in that if you're full screen on a Mac, and you have that feature turned on, dragging hides Loopcloud enabled here in the preferences, on the button preferences, it doesn't do it. That's the only time it doesn't. It's only if you have it not maximized and it's it's sharing the screen space with Ableton or your DAW. So in that instance, you should know about that.
Mac kind of has that feature built in anyway, doesn't it? I mean, I've always seen people using Macs flipping back and forth between UIs very quickly.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with your mouse, and yeah.
All right.
But
another thing inside of there with the exports is you can now, I mean, I've always loved from the beginning when collaborating with people with Loopcloud, if you just drag and drop the export, or before this version, you just drag and drop, it would give you the mixed down WAV file, so you could just send that off to your friend to ask if they like it or want to contribute or whatever. But now you have the option, you've got many more options inside of what you want to be dragging and dropping. For the most part, when I'm in producer mode, it's going to be dragging and dropping processed separate tracks.
Yeah, same here.
Again, instead of having to hold down Alt and clicking and dragging, now I just set that feature and move forward. I love it. But having the different options, like maybe I do just want to mix down real quick to send to Rob to see if he likes it, if it's drum and bassy enough, if it's hard enough, if it's big enough for the club. But having the option and being able to switch between those so quickly and then just having it do its thing is absolutely phenomenal, I think.
Yeah, there's even talk about there's even talk about incorporating some keyboard shortcuts potentially. I don't know if it's going to materialize, but we were talking about that in the last time I discussed it.
You've just broken your NDA, and now we're all
screwed.
So no, I'm rich because you're screwed. Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean I'm not sure if that's a new feature coming, but I mean everything else is already shortcuttable in terms of mapping things out on the keyboard. So I don't see why they wouldn't add it if it's a feature that people are going to. I mean, it is a feature that you're going to use a lot, because you're always going to be getting it out of Loopcloud into your DAW, so it just makes sense, I think. And then the last thing on my list here in terms of new things worth mentioning would be the new skin, which I think you're already using, yeah?
I am. Yeah, the new dark theme.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, I liked the one before, but it's got slightly different kind of bluish tint to it. But this one's just pure black. It looks absolutely awesome. Or charcoal. So it's very dark.
I don't think were you just kind of, not watching the video, were you going through those things as I was mentioning them?
Basically, yeah. Basically. So there's no real need to sort of demo it, but yeah, just as Josh was talking there, I was just showing the export button down in the bottom corner and then settings button next to it. We can look at this actually in the demo when I actually start to export some stuff, so we don't really need to look at it now, but yeah, you can just change the function of the button using the option there to set what the button's doing.
Okay, so we got a couple of questions, Rob, that I don't know the answer to.
Oh, okay.
And one of them is from LA Winter, and it says, does the alt drag still work? Oh. And I guess that would kind of be like the shortcut. You know what I mean? It'd be...
Yeah, good question.
I hope it does, to be honest.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that either. I've just been changing the button. So
yeah,
maybe.
So, I mean, that makes sense if like maybe you put it on the process bounce for the export and then just hold down Alt to drag and drop when it's time to get the processed versions in. That's a really good question.
Shall I have a look?
And I don't know the answer to it. Maybe you can try right now, Rob. What do you think?
Yeah. I'll just.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. Let's just find another loop here. I got. Okay, just finding a couple of loops from my library, so they're loaded into tracks 1 and 2. I've got it set to current mix, but if I hold down the Alt. No, it just drags out the single. No, so it doesn't seem to do that anymore. So, yeah, interesting. So yeah, if you want to go back into dragging out these two as separate files, if you've got it set to current mix, you just need to come up to the settings button and set it to whatever you want, process separate files or processed originals. Original separate files. You select what you want there and then drag it out, and then it drags out the two.
Nice.
But yeah, like I say, I've got that feature request for the keyboard shortcuts just because I do tend to find myself wanting this button to behave differently, fairly regularly while I'm working. So it would be kind of a cool feature to have. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, I mean, just having the option inside of it's already got a massive customizable feature in terms of shortcuts. So just having that as an extra or as a few options, I don't see. Yeah, it's definitely a request from me, request from Rob, and request from the chat, Loopcloud team. If you're watching, I'm sure you are. But yeah, absolutely something that should be discussed. I mean, like I've said to you before, I do a lot of video editing, so I actually switched this or added. You can actually have two shortcuts for different processes, like the cut tool, the pencil tool, and I actually changed those to the ones that I use in most of my editing software. So having that ability there is, again, next level feature, and not too many people in the space have it, but Loopcloud does for sure, hitting them out of the park. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about new features, Rob?
Not really. That's everything on the list, and as we're starting to overrun a bit, I should probably get on with my demo as soon as possible. And we've got another thing to mention before that, though, don't we? Yeah.
So before we do that, I'm going to give away two sets of 500 Loopcloud points right now.
Awesome.
Okay, we're going to get two lucky winners right now, but this time I want you to put in the chat your favorite new Loopcloud feature. Whether it's the export feature, whether it's the hide Loopcloud on drag feature, if it's the AI, if it's the new patterns, what are you most excited to be using in the future once you open Loopcloud again after the stream, directly after the stream, I hope. So 2 lucky winners for this one. Andre, go ahead and mark those names down, but let us know your favorite new Loopcloud 6 feature. And Rob, I think we also want to announce the free plugin with Loopcloud, right? Is that?
We do.
Let's talk about that. Are you going to run the video, or you want me just to?
I can run the video. Should we run the video?
Okay. Let's go ahead and just run the video and let people soak up the new VST you get for being a part of the Loopcloud community.
Awesome.
This was actually really cool.
Really
cool EQ.
Hey, what's up everybody? Joshua Casper back at you with Loopcloud, and I come with good news as usual. I'm here to let you know that if you take the free Loopcloud subscription trial today, we're going to be giving you a free VST on top of all the benefits of Loopcloud. For a limited time, if you sign up using the link below, we're going to be giving you Sonable's Entropy EQ Plus. Entropy EQ Plus pushes the boundaries of an EQ. Mix, create, repair, all with one incredible plugin. This EQ allows for both harmonic and inharmonic sound portions to be adjusted over the entire frequency range. Improve speech recordings or vocals, enhance drums, clean up your mix, sculpt your master. Everything is possible with Entropy EQ Plus. Now, it really is an incredible EQ, and it does some really unique things. I've actually already covered it a bit more in depth in a different video, which I'll link to in the video description here. Now, as I said in the beginning of this video, if you sign up for a free Loopcloud subscription today, you're going to get this EQ. However, if you are already a subscriber, you should have already gotten an email about how to go ahead and claim your copy because you get it too. Clearly, there is no better time to be a part of the Loopcloud community. Click all the links in the video description to find out more details about the giveaway, more details about Loopcloud, and more details about the EQ as well. And as always, I'm Joshua Casper here with Loopcloud. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.
Nice. You know, I was going to say quiet real-time Josh. We're trying to listen to recorded Josh.
I didn't know if my mic was still on, so if that was confusing at any point, people in the chat, that is my fault, 100%. But yeah, as just a recap what was in the video, if you're already a subscriber to Loopcloud, you should have already gotten an email. This went live today, I believe. So you just have to follow the process that you would have received in the email to grab the free copy of Entropy EQ Plus. And for those who are not a subscriber yet or are looking to test out a free Loopcloud trial subscription, if you sign up today, you get Entropy EQ Plus from Sonable for free. And if you cancel at any time, the EQ stays with you. We don't ask any questions. We want to help you be the best producer you can be no matter what. So, I mean, definitely the best time to be a part of the community. And for those who've been a part for a while, know that we've been doing this, almost every 2 months, if not more quickly than that. So definitely stick around if you can. Hopefully, with these new features in Loopcloud, you won't have any reason not to to go away from the community. But with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Rob now, who's going to go in depth with a hands-on demo. And unfortunately, it's not going to be massive face-melting drum and bass this time. But no matter what Rob is producing, it's always awesome. So I'm looking forward to watching. And I'll come in at the end, and we'll wrap it up after this demo.
Thanks, Josh. We'll see you in a bit.
Thank you, Rob. All right, dude.
Cheers. All right, so I'm going to start off with this empty project then. I've added the Loopcloud plugin to track 1, and I'm just going to set the tempo to 115 BPM. Yeah, I'm afraid it's not going to be flesh melting drum and bass this time. We're actually going to go for something a little bit more, well, mainstream, dare I say, but yeah, tropical kind of pop vibes. And it just so happens that there is a fairly new, or maybe even brand new, tropical pop pack here, which is from Singo Makers, one of the labels we were talking about earlier on as being one of our favorites. And as we saw with the pack filtering, it makes it really easy to search for a particular loop that you want to find. So we can come in here. Well, let's just check out some of the vocals. For instance, in here, you can just click on vocal there. And then when you're looking at these different loops, you can maybe just use the tone slider here to set it down to just the sort of bassier ones. Just bring it down even more if you want to make sure it's all just really bassy. Or bring it up to the top end instead and just listen to the higher frequency ones. That's a good example, by the way, of, like I'm saying, it doesn't completely filter out these sort of lower frequencies, as you can hear in this one. It starts off with a slightly kind of lower frequency male voice, but the majority of the loop is all centered around the upper part of the spectrum. You can always try and sort of push it higher if you want to try and remove those. Anyway, kind of digressing. Let's find a synth loop. So we'll add that tag to the search. I think they're all loops anyway. And I'm going to use one of these, as there's tons of great ones in here. I've got a feeling you guys can't hear that. Hang on a minute.
Yeah, Rob, they're saying there's no audio coming in.
Oh,
in
man.
the chat.
Sorry, guys. It was not set up on there. Sorry about that. You just have to take my word for it. We were listening to some fantastic loops there. But anyway, let's carry on. So we got this great synth loop here. Nice kind of uplifting retro sort of sound. And sometimes when you get a loop like this, it's very difficult to know exactly where to go next. And that's when this AI matching option, which as we saw earlier, is just accessed by clicking on the Jammerhook logo here, or you can right click on the sample and just go to the search option there. So we can now click find harmonic matches, and as I said before, it switches over to track 2. So it loads, so you can basically load a new sample into the player that will play alongside the one in track 1. So it leaves that where it is, and it starts a new search tab here with loads of different options for melodic sounds that are gonna, fit in as perfect a way as possible with the existing loop. And yeah, like we saw before, it's going to bring up a kind of huge range of different stuff, which is really awesome for coming up with original combinations that you might not have thought to have searched for. Let's just listen to some of these. Take off solo. There you go, harpsichord. I would have never thought let's add a harpsichord to that. And of course, maybe it's a bit too wacky and out there, but we got a fiddle here. I love it. It's not, again, not the kind of sound I would have deliberately searched for, but it just fits so well on top there, just improvising away, and it adds a whole different kind of flavor. So we could narrow down the search to something, just like guitar, if we wanted to go strip it down so there's not quite so much variety here. Let's see what guitars we've got here. See what this piano is. Let's bring down the loop length a bit. So that's, it's basically following the exact same chord progression. That's why this is amazing. Slightly different timing at the end. Let's see if we can find something else, like one of these guitars maybe. Awesome. Really nice. Now, yeah, just to go back to the original chords, what what's happening is they're extending this this particular chord out so it spills into this bar. So that's why it clashes a touch when it gets to this latter part. And all we have to do to fix that is just duplicate this bit out so it carries on into here. I'm going to do that by holding down the Alt key and just making some slices, click in there, and then just doing the Command D shortcut just to duplicate it over. And then they should be correctly synchronized. Yeah, so now we don't have that just slight kind of clash as the chord wasn't changing in the exact sort of time. And this is what I was saying earlier on, you know, if there were a ton of samples that had exactly the same, not only chords, but exact same timing, then it would obviously bring them up. But and that will happen more and more as, you know, the library increases. But it's a miracle that we're already at the point where you can do this kind of searching and come up with a load of matches, you know, of all these different kinds of instruments and, you know, playing basically the exact same chord sequence in more or less the exact same timing. So let's show you how you can search. Go back to the original loop here by clicking on the tab, and we could do another harmonic search, and you see that just brings up a separate tab here, and then we could just narrow it down. I've been particularly enjoying it when it comes to vocals, I must say, because you always get just so much variety. I'm going to also type in Future House. So now we're going to search for purely Future House vocal loops that are going to go with our chords. I mean, a little chaotic sounding right now, a lot of different sorts of sounds going on, but harmonically you can just hear how they're just knitting together so well. And of course we can come in here and we could EQ them a little bit if we wanted to. We could open up the FX on the guitar, for instance. We could just tame the frequencies a little bit. We could come into the filters here. And you can also use the presets here. We've got a no bass one, so we could remove the bass. There's not actually that much going on, but we could up it to maybe 200. And then we could also add another one afterwards to cut out the top end. Should go a little bit better now. I'm going to unsolo it. We could just mute any that we don't want to play. So we can check out like this guitar with the fiddle now, see how they sound. Very nice. I may also add a little bit of reverb to that fiddle. Let's go for maybe the vocal preset. Nice. Cool. So let's now export these out into Live. So let's just drag them out into our arrangement. Now, as we saw earlier on, you've got a different functionality of the export button now, so you just got to make sure you've got the right mode set here. So if I, for example, had current mix selected, it would basically drag out a single loop that was all of these tracks mixed together. So just a single mix of whatever's playing in Loopcloud, basically. But if you change this, you can set it to process separate files. And there's also an option here that I only noticed recently, actually, and it's the normalize option if you enabled that, if you wanted to, it would normalize all of them to make all of the loops as loud as possible, which is very cool. I'm going to leave that off though and just keep their kind of respective levels. Click and drag it, go back to live, and then just drag this down. And that was the command key shortcut, by the way, while I was dragging in, to make sure they get dragged onto separate tracks as opposed to one after each other on the same track. And because they've been dragged out, processed out of Loopcloud, they're all going to be the right tempo. So I can actually double click on them and set them all to unwarped. And they should all then be the right time. I'm just going to crop this one. Duplicate these over, and then we should have our nice kind of 8-bar loop there. A little bit loud. Let's turn them all down a touch. Cool. So next up, I was just going to show a couple of tips actually for working live. I know we're overrunning a bit, but I'll keep it brief. I just wanted to show you the way that I would create a bass line for this using a combination of live to... Actually, before we do that, let's just add some drums. I'm not going to use Loopcloud for this. I'm actually going to use Loopcloud Drum because it's a cool little tip for just adding the kind of main drums into your project really, really quickly and easily. So I'm just opening up Loopcloud Drum here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up a Future House kit that already has all the drums kind of sequenced. So I go click here, go to the browser. I'm going to go for purchase kits, genres, future, bass. To be honest, you could choose any house kit for this. It wouldn't really matter. And I'm going to select that one. Sorry, select this one of these. You can preview it, but I'm just going to load that one in. And you can hear, obviously, this is already going to have the kick, clap, and hat already sequenced for me. Let's just solo it. So they're already ready to go. Just going to bring it down a bit. And we'll come back to this sort of randomization of the drums in a minute, because that's a really awesome feature. And I know we're not really concentrating on drum here, but it is a part of Loopcloud. So if you wanted to sequence it in the DAW, you can just click on the export button in the top there, click on MIDI, and it will then render whatever the pattern is down here in the sequencer. So you can render it. And I'm just going to turn off the sequencer because I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to drag it out onto the drum track. Don't worry about importing any of that data. And now this will give you your... In fact, it's got all of the drums here, which I don't need. So I'm going to fold that. I'm going to get rid of all of these upper ones here. And there we got it. The main drums all sequenced. So it's a pretty quick workflow there. Then we can come in here. We can just quickly, edit some to make some fills here and there. Maybe add an extra. Whatever. Just anyway, that's your main drums already done. Other tip I wanted to show is a sort of combination of a live feature and Loopcloud, and it's if we wanted to get a bass line for this, if we just right click on our original chords now, we can go to convert harmony to new MIDI track. It then just analyzes the MIDI, or sorry, the audio, and it gives us a MIDI clip of all of the chords for us. So it's the quickest way that I know of quickly coming up with the notes, and you really don't need any music theory. In fact, you'll have noticed so far that we haven't needed any music theory knowledge to do anything. We haven't even needed to select key lock or anything like that in Loopcloud. The harmonic matching has done that for us, basically by finding the samples that fit together, so we don't even need to repitch stuff. Now, the other advantage there, of course, if you're not transposing stuff, if you're not adjusting it, if you're not time stretching it, the quality is going to be higher. So that's kind of another pro. So here we've got the analyzed MIDI, and I don't care about anything apart from the bass line here, so I'm just going to remove all of these notes. In fact, I just want a 4-bar loop as well. Let's bring that down. Oh, I think I just deleted. Yeah, I didn't want to delete that one. Let's bring it down first, 4 bars. And now we can get rid of all these at the top here. Like so. Yeah, that's everything. And we can listen to it. So it's found that, you know, the right chords, the right bass note for us. It's even got the right rhythm. Now it's missed a couple of steps here, but it's got us basically there. So we can just add any that it's missed off. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, perfect. And now what we can do is we can take that MIDI and we can drag it up to the Loopcloud track. Solo that, and now we can use it to sequence a sound. So I'm just going to clear all tracks now back in Loopcloud. So I'm going to right click here, clear all tracks. So we're starting again from fresh, and I'm just going to find a future house bass one shot, and we're going to come up with all sorts of sort of different stuff here. Some of them are going to be really kind of fat and filthy. Some of them are subby. There we go. So there's loads of different ways we could kind of, you know, focus in on exactly what kind of sound we want. We could use the audio filters here. I find that sometimes with bass, if you just roll off the upper frequencies, then it gets rid of some of the raspier, more distorted basses. Also, if we'd found a bass sound we liked, like one of those maybe, we could just use these find similar here to find a load of sort of cleaner basses that are a little bit more similar to this one. And yeah, they're all looking a bit more similar there. And yeah, now if we play our project, whoa, sorry. If we play our project, come back to Loopcloud. The other thing we want to do though is we want to use the key lock here to lock it to C. That should be. Liking that one. So I'm going to buy that one just with a single point, and I'm going to drag out the processed file. I'm just going to get a MIDI track first though. I'll just create a MIDI track after this Loopcloud one and just drag out that one. So the processed is going to drag it out with the repitching, which means that it's already going to be repitched to C. That means we can just drag the MIDI straight back down and it's already repitched it for us. So that's really, really awesome kind of workflow for creating a bass there. Nice, starting to get some good ideas. You don't want to see my desktop, let's get rid of that. Last thing then is sort of finding more drum sounds. Now, another reason, by the way, for using Loopcloud Drum for the main drums here is that you've got the ability to randomize the drums. So if I just click on any one of the drums there and I select all pads, I can then hit this randomize button to randomize between it, all of my kind of future bass drums. And yeah, just mix up all of your main drums, or just do them individually, obviously, if you don't want to do them as a group like that, by deselecting all and just clicking on one like that. And you can always go back to the one you had before just by using the back arrow there. So going back to Loopcloud, last thing I'm going to do then here is I'm going to go back to our original loop, this one once again, and I'm just going to use the rhythmic matching to find a bit of percussion to go with this. So on this search, we're going to type in future house once again. We're going to narrow it down to that genre, and I'm going to go with percussion. And yeah, and you can see here we've got loads of different sort of options now for things that are going to go with our loop. I can mute that one, don't need to worry about that. It's looking for something a little bit lower there, so I've been kind of focusing on these yellower ones as opposed to the bluer ones, and that's given us this one here, which is kind of a tom sort of loop. You can hear it really kind of goes with the chords there, and it also means that you can kind of choose different ones from these results that are almost certainly going to go together in some way. You can see how this one is going to kind of fit with that one. So I could choose a new track here, select that one. Needs a bit of EQ, but I think they sound pretty nice. So I could drag them out. Actually, let's go for one more loop here. And this time I'm just going to use the filters. Actually, what should we go for? Like a top loop maybe? Or let's just go for, so again, if you're going just for straight up future house drum loops. You can also match the tempo, of course. Now, this is a feature that's been around quite a while in Loopcloud, but match the tempo there. And this time we're just looking for something in the upper part of the spectrum, because we've already got this lower frequency one and this one that's sort of high mids. So we just want a final component that's going to go at the top there. So I'm just going to filter out, or rather, hone in on the highs here, and it will give us a ton of different higher frequency ones. Not really sure which one I prefer there. Probably that one or this one. Maybe that one. So I'm going to export all of these out now, process separate files. In fact, we could even just go with original if we wanted to. So let's go up here, show you how to do that. So then we go with original separate files. Just going to get rid of the chords. We don't want to export that. We just want these three. Drag that out into live. And come down here onto, sorry about the slowness. There we go, new audio track. Hold down Command once again, and yeah, then we have our loops imported in. I'm also going to drag these maybe up to the top so they're with the, just turn them down a bit first, so they're with the main drums. Bosh, bosh. Okay, so we got our drums at the top there, get rid of that harmony. And I think that's sort of all of the like main elements in there now. Like I said, it's going to sound a bit full on without any EQ, but yeah, there's all our parts kind of in pretty rapidly there. And yeah, as I was saying, I did that without needing any knowledge of music theory or scales, just by using the AI technology and by using the awesome features of Loopcloud to find these sounds that just go together, even quite obscure fiddles, as you can hear. So I think I'm going to leave that demo there. Bring Josh back. Hey, Josh.
Well done once again, Rob. Can you hear me?
Yep. Hey, man.
Okay. I was saying well done, man. I'm a big sucker for those types of drums on a 4 to the floor beat anyway. So while it wasn't face melting drum and bass, hats off to you, sir, for making another incredible project inside of Loopcloud in no time. Well done.
Yeah, no worries. You like the fiddle? You a fan of the fiddle?
Well, this is, it's funny because during the earlier parts of this stream, I was like, yeah, you can find a banjo, I think I said. Mm-hmm. And then boom, Rob brings out the fiddle. So this is what I'm talking about. That's really like the power of Loopcloud, where you might just stumble upon something like a fiddle that just works perfectly with what you've got going, and you would have never thought to, hey, let me search for a fiddle. But Loopcloud's like, hey, you might want to try this out, and then boom goes the dynamite, man. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. A couple of questions I wanted to answer. One was from Nick Some Soul. He was asking about using Loopcloud with Ableton, and the answer to that is yeah, man. You can link it up, so you can play your project in Ableton Live and have your loops synced in Loopcloud with your project in Ableton Live, and that's really the fundamental principle of Loopcloud, man. So I highly suggest setting that up and trying that out, because that's where things really start cooking, when you get your DAW and Loopcloud synced up and in time, and then you can start building out your projects with Loopcloud's library again before you need to purchase. So yes, the answer to that question is a simple yes, and it's absolutely phenomenal. So go try it out if you haven't yet. Another question was from Greg Dollar, who's wondering if the audio filters worked with your imported sounds, and the answer to that question is yes. When you import your sounds, the AI algorithms will analyze all of that for you automatically, and then it will automatically tag it. If it's a hi-hat, it will put a hi-hat. It will put it in the brighter end of the spectrum. If it's a one-shot, you can use the filters there. If it's a loop and it's a dark loop, you can use the filter. So yes, the answer to that question again is yes. The AI tags everything you bring into Loopcloud automatically for you, and you can use it with your own samples. Again, another huge benefit of having Loopcloud on your computer. We're going to go ahead and announce the winners of the giveaways. But before we do that, I just want to give a mention to tomorrow's live stream on Plugin Boutique's YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a Serato Studio live stream with a product specialist from Serato, who's going to just give us the wealth of information about Studio, how to use it, how to get started making a beat, how to get started making a remix. You can ask any of your questions, and we're going to be doing massive giveaways over there as well. 5 winners of Serato Studio, 5 winners of Serato Sample, and then 1 grand prize winner of both Serato Studio and Sample, and a Kai MPK Mini 3. 2 Mackie CR3X monitors, including cables to hook them up, and a set of Mackie MC 250 headphones. So a massive, massive giveaway. We're not playing around tomorrow, so join us over there and ask your questions, check out Studio with me, and then hopefully win some stuff. Rob, I want to win that prize package. I think this is the downside of me and you hosting these things, is we can never win these incredible gifts that we give away so often.
It's very true. Such a bummer.
Yeah. Okay, let me pull up the names of the winners here for the 500 points. If your name is called, you want to email support@loopmasters.com and just put in the title Loopcloud 6 live stream winner, and just tell who you are and why you won, and we will get you hooked up and 500 points put in your Loopcloud account as soon as possible. Winner number 1, Hero Johnson, NYC. And he's from New York City. That's right. The question was, where are you from? And he's from New York City, and you are a winner of 500 Loopcloud points. Number 2 was your favorite genre, and we have Jazzy Lo-Fi Instrumental Hip Hop.
Oh yeah,
Rob, that is quite a specific genre, and I'm digging it. I want to hear it. And your name is Chris Thackston, Thackston. You are a winner of 500 Loopcloud points. And also, again, contact support@loopmasters.com to grab these, and we will also put all the winners in the link, the video description after the stream, just in case you missed it. The third winner, favorite sample pack label, Ghost Syndicate. One of my favorites, and his name is Christopher Alloway. You are the winner. And winner number 4 and 5, these are both for your favorite new Loopcloud feature. And we've got we got an issue, Andre. If you're listening, you've got a random pick of the same guy twice. So let's pick another new winner. If you're here now watching and listening, go ahead and let me know what your favorite new Loopcloud feature is, and we're gonna pick a lucky winner because we've accidentally picked a winner twice, and we did that before. We're not gonna do it again. I've caught it here live on camera. So the next one, DJ Fibbs. You're a winner of 500 points, and your favorite feature was the export feature, which is dope, and I highly agree, sir. Congratulations. So go ahead, guys. Active in the chat. What's your favorite new Loopcloud 6 feature? We're going to pick another winner right now. And, of course, while we're doing that, Rob, thanks again for hanging out with me for this past hour and a half. I know we went a little bit over because I talked too much.
No worries.
And you get... Just as much as you get involved with your projects and just keep going. And I think that's what Loopcloud's all about. You know what I mean? Once you get in and get started, it's like, why stop? If it's a good thing, keep it rolling, keep the creativity moving.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that Loopcloud does so well. So
yeah, while we're waiting to pick a winner, I should probably just mention that we are currently working on Loopcloud tutorials and a complete course which is going to be launched a few weeks from now. So
that's going to be on Producer Tech?
On producertech.com, sorry. Yeah. We've already done numerous live streams with our members, much like this one, even more interactive with Q&As. And yeah, we've done quite a few of those already. I've done quite a few workflows, and this is going to be a several hour course going into detail, showing how I can really build up a whole track. So much like we've been doing today, but fleshed out even more slowly, concise and detailed.
Masterclass style,
exactly.
Yeah. So so definitely head over to producertech.com. It's .com, right?
Yep.
Producertech.com.
Mm-hmm.
Head over there, check out all of Rob's courses, and Rob also has a gang of talented people who contribute to their archive of wonderful video tutorials on a range of subjects, from mixing and mastering to production of different genres, obviously DAW stuff, and of course Loopcloud. I can't recommend Rob's classes enough. I watch them quite often when I need information that I don't already have, Rob. So thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping me help other people. That's just circle of life, my friend. Nothing but love for you. I've got the next winner. The final winner of the 500 Loopcloud points is Converge Dilingr. That's DILINGRL. And Dilingr. I'm not quite sure, but you win for loving the AI. I love the AI.
Yeah.
I think we all love the AI now that it's here. So thanks again, Rob. Thanks to everybody in the chat. The community is strong. We love you. I've seen a lot of familiar names there. Felix is in the house. Greg Dollar. We see you all the time, and we love having you here and being interactive in the chat, helping us answer questions and asking questions and just being a part of the community. So thanks to everybody. Thanks again, Rob. And I guess we'll see you soon, and hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Serato live stream on the Plug and Boutique channel.
Catch you later, guys. See you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.